All right, we're with Maz again. The Sweater is a short film. It's 9 minutes long. We had him on the podcast a couple years ago for Baba, which has done well. Tell people about the success of the other film, Baba, first, before we start.
Yeah, we've had a really great festival run. The film premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in 2023. I also had another short the year before called Bump that was also at the Sundance Film Festival. So yeah, and then now we have this new one, which is kind of closer to Bump in style, but we decided to do something a little bit different. So yeah.
And who's the main actor in The Sweater?
I am. I am, but well, with a mustache. Yeah, I decided to once again act and finish our trilogy of short films that we've done.
So you're done. You've retired as a short filmmaker now?
No, not as a maybe as an actor, but like not I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Like, if an idea comes, then I can't say no, obviously. But we're like our team is definitely now moving towards a feature film, which is what we want to do next.
Oh, dude, I like, for someone who talks to people like yourself all the time, if anybody's ready, your team is ready to make a feature film.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're very excited. We're very excited.
You're on your way. Like, and yeah, just in terms of like tone wise, you guys this is an interesting, like, well, let's talk about The Sweater for a second, because it's an interesting film tone wise, because it's so simple in its concept, right?
Mhm.
Where like this guy donates a sweater, he wants it back. It's almost like a sitcom plot, right?
Yes.
But there's layers, and there's thematics, there's interesting things happening in the film. Tell me about your idea to make this kind of like, this, not, I don't want to say simple because it's not simple. You know what I'm trying to say? This like this kind of
Yes, yeah.
basic plot of this guy like wanting to get back his sweater.
Yeah,
And
it's almost like a Curb Your Enthusiasm kind of thing, which I'm
yeah,
very inspired by, like an almost Larry David kind of rabbit hole. And I mean, the idea I've had for a while, but we just couldn't execute it because we wanted to like actually shoot it like a more traditional film, and we didn't really have the financing and the funds to like go and get certain locations. So we made another film where we basically just went out there and we just shot without any permission, and we used real people. And so for this, we thought to take that to the very extreme, where it's like, okay, how can we like actually craft a narrative, sneaking into locations, doing the hidden camera thing, but also crafting a narrative, because this could have ended up becoming kind of like a prank, and it's really not. There's a narrative, there's a goal, the characters are there, and it's clear what he wants, and it's clear what how the other characters contribute in this. But there's this angle of real people, and there are real people who have no idea that they're on camera in the film. And well, they knew afterwards we came and explained what we were doing, but we decided to kind of out of a financial reason as well, to kind of like go into the thrift store, film that sequence, film with 3 cameras, and craft a narrative using improv. There was no script for this. There was just cue cards of kind of like what each scene should be. But we just thought that was really interesting, so it almost became this half documentary, half like narrative mix. And we never wanted the characters to ever look into the camera. We didn't want any fourth wall breaks or anything like that, in a way to just have the audience watch the film and question like who's an actor, who's not an actor, what was scripted, what was improv, and just have this kind of like mesh of all these things kind of happening, but at the same time being a cohesive narrative piece.
okay, so you referenced Curb Your Enthusiasm. So Curb Your Enthusiasm, it's heavily plotted, but they improvise their lines, right? So that the actors know what needs to happen in the scene, and then so they just kind of improvise until the plot points are done within the plotted episode. But this is a little bit different, I guess, right, from Curb, in a sense where like you didn't, was it, how much, basically what I'm asking you is how much was plotted, how much like was like, did you
Yeah.
just go ahead like?
Well, it's hard. It's so hard to say now that like looking back on it. But I mean, if I were to give a percentage, I mean, like that sequence where like at the end of the film, I do get the sweater back, and there's this like sequence that I'm really proud of where I steal my sweater from a thrift store. And I had no idea that that guy was gonna try to stop me. Like that cashier was a real guy, and he genuinely went by the door and was like, "Stop! Give me the sweater. You're not leaving." And we had no idea that was going to happen. We had no, like, we didn't plan that. He didn't see the cameras.
Yeah.
And we got very lucky in that there was 3 cameras there. Or even the part where before that, where those 2 girls, they helped me into the donation bin, they had no idea. Like, we did not plan that. The idea for that scene was, I'm just going to climb into the donation box and just try to find the sweater. And then I see these 2 young girls coming towards me, and I just had a thought in my head. I wasn't really planned, and I was just like, "Hey, could you guys help me get into the bin? I lost something," and it just a whole scene came out of that. So that wasn't planned, and even the sequence in the phone where I'm calling all the donation places to track down my sequence, and that very old angry Russian guy, he's like, "You'll never get it back, it's gone." He was a real guy. I talked to that guy on the phone for like an hour, and we cut it down to 30 seconds.
Why
He
would he
wanted to
talk to
kill
you on
me
the phone for an hour? Does he have anything
because
else to
because
do?
I was so determined. I was like, no, there's no way. I can get it back. I can get this
Yeah.
back. I need you have. And he's like, there's no way. There's hundreds of thousands of bags. This stupid sweater, you'll never get it back. And we just both kept like just doing this, and
Yeah.
then until he eventually hung up. But then we got an hour of me talking to him, and then we condensed that to like 30 seconds and having him just kind of being almost antagonist, which we kind of need in the film to kind of have barriers for my character. So, and then, I mean, the most planned sequence in the film, I guess, is the stuff with the bar with his friends, even though that was all improvised. That was all those actors. Those are my good friends, Jake and Dylan. And they had no idea what we were filming that. They didn't even know what the thing was. And they're both professional actors. And they were both just like, what are we doing? And I just gave them one line. I'm like, my girlfriend made me throw out my sweater. You guys have to convince me to get it back. And then we filmed that scene for like 3-4 hours and cut it down to like a minute. And so we really kind of did it the documentary way, which was really interesting. And we've never done anything like that before. We've done very heavily scripted stuff. So this was a lot of fun to kind of tackle.
So tell us what the sweater is the infamous sweater that you want back.
Yeah, I think I might have it. Oh no, it's maybe not here, but it's this it's this like big black sweater with a red mushroom on it with a white face, and yeah, I mean my girlfriend's friend I think gave it to her, and I just was like, this is such a stupid. I don't know, it's such a silly design. It's like one of those like really ugly kind of sweaters, like a really cliche thing that you wear maybe for like Christmas or something,
It's a
and
Mario
I just
mushroom, right? For Mario Brothers.
I don't think it's maybe it is Mario. I don't know,
Well,
but
but it looks like it. It's
it,
like a mock version of it, right?
yeah. I never thought of that, but yeah, definitely I can see the resemblance now.
Because
But I
you,
just
but
thought,
nobody's ever said that you look like Mario. You got the
oh,
mustache,
with
you
the
got the hair.
mustache. Oh my God, I see it now. Oh
Yeah.
wow, yeah, maybe this is a Mario backstory or something. I don't know. Yeah, that's actually that's so funny. That kind of just blew my mind right now. Yeah, I mean I can totally see it now, but that's really interesting.
It's
But
just
no one said that.
it's because it's my son is obsessed with, like, he's 5. He's obsessed with Mario, so it's probably on my in my brain. So I see you with the mustache and the black hair and the mushroom sweater. I just think of Mario, right? So
That's perfect. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, not planned, not planned. Very little of this film was planned, but very meticulous in the edit. Very meticulous in the edit, like in terms of like what we did. There was a lot of ADR in the film to kind of craft it to make it a lot
yeah.
tighter, and surprisingly a lot of VFX. We VFXed a lot of things because we filmed in different thrift stores. We wanted all the thrift stores to look similar, so we had a VFX artist, Daniel and Andrew. They did a lot of VFX to make all those locations look like they're one location, which is they changed things on the wall. They changed like the color of certain things to make it all kind of look like it's one thrift store, even though it's 3 different thrift stores in that
Okay,
sequence.
let's base this in reality. This is like a let's pretend this is a documentary film, because that's like
Sure.
So it's some of it's found footage because of like the beginning scene is like the camera's on the ground, but then the thrift
Yeah.
store is like it's not found footage because someone's following you. But so we're like in the terms of like where does this footage come from? I guess if I'm
Oh,
being
in terms of like the reality of
the
it.
reality of
Yeah. I mean, I always I don't know. I always thought of it as this like like I love 90s films so much. Like I love Clerks, I love Richard Linklater, I love like the stuff that Harmony Korine did. And I almost wanted this film to be like just the aesthetic of it, like a love letter to those 90s American indie cinema. I mean, logically, somebody in our crew did come up with an answer of who is filming him, and the answer of that was his girlfriend is following him and filming him, which I thought was makes the film incredibly creepy if you think about it. And I'm like, wow, that's a really a fucked up kind of thing. But it adds this like voyeuristic like angle to it, which kind of makes it very bizarre and emasculating for him. But yeah, I don't know. For me, I really just wanted it to feel in line with kind of like Clerks and films like Julian Donkey Boy by Harmony Korine and things like that, like aesthetically. That was kind of the goal, was just, very few films are shot in that aesthetic. The DV, the like the mini DV and the VHS. Like I can't even recall a film like besides those 90s films that are shot on tape, and which I'm trying to bring that back. I'm a big fan of
so
the
that's what you
texture of
did. What did
that.
you shoot this on?
Well, what we actually did was we shot this on cell phones, and then we had a post production team actually scan it on tape, and so we really got that quality of it. We the reason why we shot it on cell phones is so we can shoot endlessly, just we could just shoot endlessly. And
Sure.
then they worked like a couple of months on it, just really getting that right, and then scanning it to tape took a really long time, and then the colorization process also took a while as well. But that was really important for us to do, and then making it also consistent in terms of that.
Okay, so the two girls, let's go. So you got the beginning scene. I want to break down the when you're going into the box.
Yes.
Um, because yeah, generally you can open it up, right? I've like I've been I've sent my fair amount of stuff to these boxes in my time, and
The
usually you can open
donator.
up. You guys open it up later on, but it's like I'm watching your film. Like I think you can just open it up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had no idea that we
Yeah,
could open. That was all her. Like the reveal that you could actually open it was
yeah,
all her. I'm not a strong guy in the slightest, and so I was like pulling on it, and then she just came out. She's like, "Dude, you can open this."
yeah.
And I was like, "Oh shit!" And the fact that we got all of that on camera, I was like,
Like she
and
picked
luckily,
you up, and she's like, and this is a perfect stranger.
yeah, this is a stranger. This is a stranger who had like just picked me up with her friend. I think they had like a box of donuts or something. And we just cut out one part where I explain what's going on. And I'm like, hey guys, I'm trying to get in here and I lost my sweater. But it's cut together like, hey, could I trouble you guys? And it just cuts and they're pulling me in. And I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, thank you guys
great.
for helping me. And so yeah, there was a lot of that, I mean, this film could have been much longer, but we really just took the really important sections. But those girls, like if they didn't show up, the scene would have just been nothing. That scene would have been absolutely nothing. They really made that scene by coming in there. And then similar to the angry Russian guy who calls me, like
Yeah.
like on the phone and things like that.
Did you tell them afterwards that you're doing a film? Okay.
Yes, we did. We did. We did. We're like, oh, we got, you have to sign a release in case this
Yeah, that's
plays
what
at
I.
a film festival. Oh yeah, almost everybody did. I actually, right here, I have the form from the thrift store right here. We have to go back and get it, and so we that was the one thing that we didn't get because there's tons of logos. So we actually recently got that cleared.
And you're well because you want to, I guess, because you're a businessman. You sold your film to CBC. You want to sell this film, I guess, too, right? So you want to make
That
sure.
is actually in the process. So we're hoping that's going to be on Gems later in the summer
That's amazing.
for people to watch.
Okay, so then do those girls see the film? Did you ever like be able to track them down and show
Yeah,
them the
oh, I
film?
have their emails. I sent them the film. They liked it. They're like, "Oh, this is so funny. Like this is like like absolutely ridiculous or whatever. And yeah, they had no idea. They were like, oh, we genuinely like wanted to help you. You seem so distressed. And I was just like, yeah, because I'm a
I
method
was gonna
actor.
say you're a good
Just
actor,
kidding.
man. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But no, they were really nice. They were really nice. And I think yeah, that's the thing about doing these kind of films like with real people. I think the key of it is if you go in kind of like open and if you're looking to like embarrass other people, I feel like that's when they get really angry. But throughout this film, I'm the butt of the joke, and all those people are assisting me. So there's I was really, nobody got angry at us, which was kind of great. And I think you can really get away with doing stuff like this in Canada because I mean we're not litigious at all. I feel like, you know, in America it might be a kind of a different ballpark, it might be a little bit, you know, different, but people were so happy, can you know, shooting this kind of stuff. And you know, and at the end when we showed them the final product, they were like, oh, this is hilarious.
So yeah, that's a great distinction. Like you're the butt of the joke, whereas like a certain other famous filmmaker slash actor, performance artist who basically makes type of films. I don't have to say you know who he is. He basically kind of makes other people the butt of the joke, I guess, right? Even though
Yeah,
he's over the top with his character, he's still making fun of other people, I guess, right? But in your film, yeah, you're the goofball, I guess, right?
exactly. He's the funny man, and everybody else is kind of the straight man reacting to him in a
Yeah,
way. And I think that that's kind of the key to this, because I think the moment when you film with real people, I haven't had this experience, but if you do something where they may say something that's a little bit crazy, and they're like, oh shoot, that's going to be on camera, I think that's when it gets really ridiculous. Even there's a very small section in the film right after he fights with his girlfriend, and the girlfriend is like, you have to throw out the sweater. There's a very small scene, and it almost didn't make it into the movie, where when he's throwing out his sweater for the first time,
yeah.
there's these two guys, and he said the best line in the movie, and he's a real person. He said, I know you don't want to throw that. Your heart wants to keep that. And I was like, wow, that is so fucking perfect. Like I was blown away by that guy. It was just, and he was just like this random dude just like eating grapes with his friends, and we just cut it together, and that was really bizarre. That was a really bizarre scene. And I was like, oh, what a profound, like a weirdly profound thing to say. And so we kept that in the movie because I was like, wow, that's a great line.
It's almost like so good. It's like you couldn't even, it's like such a good line. You think it's made up, right? Where maybe I did too, where like you can't even script that, right? Like you probably wouldn't even write that in the script.
You
But
wouldn't, and I think if I wrote something like that,
it's
I
corny
wouldn't
or
even want to
something.
keep it in because it would
Yeah,
seem too cliche.
yeah.
But the way that he said it, it's just it's so real the way that he said it. And I was like, wow, we have to keep this. I think he's the only person in the film, because we ended up ADRing a lot of people. He's the only person that I think we did an ADR, because his performance was just, it was real. I mean, it was a real, you know, I
That's an
loved it.
interesting kind of metaphor in a lot of ways, meaning that like it's the delivery of the line is more important than the line itself sometimes, right?
100%, 100%. And I even love that guy, like the cashier who tries to stop me at the end. He's not even that threatening. Like he's a lot bigger than me,
Yeah,
but he wasn't. He was, at first he was like, "Give me the sweater," and then and then I escape. Like we get into that whole kind of scruffle by the door, and
yeah,
I escape. And he also says an amazing line where somebody in the store goes, "Does that happen often?" And he says in such a, it almost like broke my heart. And he's like,
yeah.
"Oh, it happens all the time." And I was like, oh my God, like that's just, that's amazing. Like I don't know why. Like I love that. Like that's such a weird thing to say. And you kind of feel that he's so disgruntled in this job, which I don't know, adds layers, like you said. Like the film is simple, but those kind of
No,
things
that's what
like
I mean. But
yeah,
that
add layers.
scene, I wanted to get to that. I had a note written down because I really want to get to that scene because
Yeah.
it's like you can see his mind spinning, right? Where it's like, okay, stop it, then he's thinking to himself, I'm gonna get into a fight with this guy for my
Over
like
a sweater.
I'm assuming he's not getting paid $50 an hour. Let's just put it that way, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like basically like then he just stops and goes, okay, you can like I'm not gonna stop. Why would I stop you? Like, you know what I mean? But like
Yeah.
what is this job? It's like a thrift store, right? So I just
Exactly.
yeah, you could see it go. He was like he's all determined to stop you.
He's jacked up.
And then he just like his body just kind of like goes down a little bit and he's like, all right, just get out of here.
And I love that. And I think that if we were to film it in a traditional way, if we had a finished script,
Yeah,
and I'm not saying these things are bad, and we had extras in the thrift store and we had actors and things were scripted, then maybe I would have scripted a fight. You know what I mean? But then that would have felt a little bit melodramatic. But then the end result to this is you get something that's lifelike. Where I do think in life like if you are in those scruffles, you're about to fight, you're jacked up, but then you're like, okay, you know what? Never mind. This isn't worth it. And that's so funny to me. Like that is so, like I think that is the kind of sad humor that this film touches upon. Like it's kind of this like mundane humor that I was a big fan of because like you could have if this was a scripted thing, maybe he pulls out a taser and he tases me, but then that becomes like so ridiculous, and you're just like, I don't believe this anymore. And I'm really proud of this film and that it in its realism, in its mundanity. Like that's kind of what I'm interested in, and specifically in this film is that it finds this kind of mundane topic, but it builds it almost to like a high stakes
yeah,
film, and that's kind of what we wanted, I guess.
yeah, 100%. So yeah, yeah. So you're like a seasoned pro at our festival. What did you think about the audience? What do you think what they had to say from our festival?
Oh yeah, I was yeah, it was awesome. Like I mean, people picked up on really interesting themes. I think masculinity is a really big theme in the film where this guy, he's obviously somebody actually picked up something really interesting in the reactions. They said he listens to everybody but himself. His girlfriend tells him to throw out the sweater, he throws out the sweater. His friends tell him to get the sweater back, he gets the sweater back. But throughout the film, he never listens to himself. And then the final shot, which is one of my favorite things, is just he got what he wanted, but he's dissatisfied, which I think is the case for a lot of things in life, where you chase this thing for so long, you get it, whether it's a big film festival, whether it's completing something, whether it's a trophy, whether it's a salary thing, and then when you get it, there's this moment of like dissatisfaction where I think a lot of people chase this kind of validation, and it was really interesting that the audience kind of saw that because it is a goofy comedy, but at the end
Yeah.
of the day there are those kind of thematic things in it that push the character, because he's a deeply insecure person who needs to kind of learn to be a bit more confident and needs to kind of like dig deeper within himself. So it was really awesome that those people kind of picked up on that, as well as the comedy as well.
So the possession or the material thing is going to make him happy, but
Yeah.
you know what I
Or
mean?
not even that. I think it extends beyond that, where he wants his friends to basically acknowledge that he got the sweater. Like I reclaimed my manhood. I'm a man. Look at me. Look how big and strong I am. I got the sweater back. But then in reality, they don't care. They don't give a shit. They're just like, okay, great, oh awesome. But he was expecting this like almost like victorious, like over the top thing where they celebrate his victory, but
Yeah.
but it's nothing, and it's chasing validation like that can leave you quite empty. And I think that I don't want to say that's the message of the film, but I think that that's kind of what he learns at the end, was that it's meaningless.
It's all meaningless. Yeah. Well,
It's
great
all
film.
meaningless.
No, no, no. It's just a great film. You're like, you guys are on your way, but it's like the films that you've done that I've seen, they're all tone wise, they're all different, but they're all kind of about something. There's a substance to it, and meaning that, not to sound like I said corny again, but you want to watch it again. It's got that real. You want to see it again and basically see what kind of the nuance of what you've done the first after the first view.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I mean, that those are things. I mean, with Baba, we kind of like that was like the personal angle for me because it was based off my dad, and
Yeah,
then this was kind of like, I mean, it really started from me being a slob. Like I'm an absolute slob when it comes to leaving my clothes on the floor. So that it did start from a kind of personal kind of topic of like, this guy who's just completely messy, and I think if films become very interesting when you've either lived them or lived certain aspects of them. And I think there's a lot of people too, if like they donated something or they gave something away that's theirs, and then they see it later. I think there's a feeling in you where you're like, that belongs to me and I want it, and I want it back. And I
Yeah.
think, trying to make the films as relatable as possible is also, one of our, like, our team's goal is to have the audience kind of, at least in the premise, relate to, some of the craziness of our characters.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So then you guys are done. You said you're done your trilogy, or at least as an actor. So are
Yeah.
you setting up? You're writing a feature, like you're in the process
Yeah,
of
I mean,
making
we've
it, or-
written two features, and we're hoping to go into pre-production this year, and to potentially shoot next year. And yeah, we're very excited to do it. It's going to be like, if anyone has seen our stuff, it's going to be in the same tone. One of them is slightly darker, but still a comedy. And it's going to be the same team, same groups, some of the same actors, some new actors. And yeah, we're just really excited for people to check that out, and excited to shoot it as well, which will be very difficult but a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, like I told you before, you're on your way. You guys got it. You guys understand tone. You understand storytelling. So, and perfect length. You did like you perfect length for this film. You could have, like you said, you could have made it a little bit longer, but you kind of knew what the story was and you made it what it was. So basically, yeah, I love this film. I've seen it a few times. I thought it's fantastic.
Awesome. Thanks
So
so much.
let's stay in touch. We've got, I think, Anya is one of Anya's films is on our site now. Of course, you're selling to other sites, which of course do that. And so basically, yeah. So let's be in touch. Let us know when the feature's done or when you make another film, and we're always here, and we'll always show your films, and we'll talk more, I guess.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And so let's talk again when your next film is made.
For sure. Will do. Thanks again.